Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Now look at this. This is absolutely beautiful. This is a fan stitch with a stitch called a pico stitch. It's like a little bauble that you put on the end of your fan and it makes the blanket look like this. It is so pretty. It's so lacy and you can make this with any yarn that you want. I know I'm using one that's from the USA, but you can use any yarn for this. This is super soft. It's so pretty. It's only a one row repeat. It doesn't look like it. It looks as if it's more than one row that you need to repeat, but you don't. You only need to repeat this top row. Now, I haven't finished my blanket, but with this, I will show you how to put a row of this row here. I'll show you how to do it to the bottom. And I think it'll be really pretty. The edges are nice and neat, so I think it'll be really pretty. Just when you finish your blanket, cut your yarn, turn it upside down, and go to this edge. I'll move my ball of yarn. Go to this edge and then do that one row pattern just along this edge to make it that same little peak like this. And I think that'll finish it. You don't need to do anything to the sides because it's got that little half fan all the way down the side. Now I'm using this yarn, and if you're in the USA you can get this. I think it's Michael's own brand. It's called Loops and Threads and it's soft and shiny and you get free patterns on with it. That pattern is not that colour and it's really pretty. Now this colour is Wisteria in case you go looking for it. It's called Wisteria and the colour number is 33. I used a UK 4.5 for this blanket, just a little bit bigger than it's telling you to use on that because this stitch it's lovely. This stitch is really pretty and it has like a wave through it. The way that it's done with that little picot stitch all the way down, it's like, you can see it when you turn it to the side, it's like it's got a little wave on. It's like it's got a little wave on it. You can see it there. It's really, really pretty. I'll tip it up that way and see if you can see that it's got that extra little dimension to it. So I'm going to show you how to do this beautiful stitch. Do not think that this is difficult. It's not. It's not. It looks difficult, but believe me, it is only a one row repeat. Once you get that first row done, after that, it's just that one row of fans and that little bumpy picot stitch in between, just to brighten up in between these two fans. And um, the stitch is actually called a fan and picot stitch, and it's in a lot of the stitch books. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to show you how to do it in this really pretty green. This is a Bambino double knitting and it's by Stylecraft. It's a 100-gram ball. It's called Sage and the shade number is 7117, and look at that, it's really pretty. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to do my sample in this. So I'm going to do my chain in sets of 4. So you make yours as wide as you need it to be for your blanket. I'm just going to do a sample. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So work your chain in sets of 4. Don't worry too much if you lose the stitch count. If you've got an extra stitch, you can just pick it out down here at the bottom. So I'm going to add an extra 3 stitches to this. 1, 2 and 3. Those 3 become your first treble crochet. Now into your 4th stitch in the chain, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that's 1 done. Now that chain counts as your first treble crochet. If you're in the USA, these are double crochets. So that's 1 and that one there is 2. You're going to put another 2 into that same stitch. So you'll have 4 all together. That's the 3rd one and that's the 4th one. Now remember, your chain of 3 counts as your first stitch. So now we're going to do what's called a pico stitch. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. Now at the bottom of your chain there's 2 stitches here. I found it better to go into these 2 stitches, in through there, pull your yarn through and then slip stitch through the top of your chain, just like that, and that makes that little bobble part on the blanket. It makes these little bobbles. So once we go over to here, that little bobble ends up in between your fans. So you're going to skip 3 stitches. Now because we've got 3 in this one stitch, make sure you pull it back and that you count your stitches. So it's kind of hidden in the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to do a fan into this 4th stitch. You're going to put 3 treble crochets, 1 chain and 3 treble crochets. You're going to do the fan. So that's 1 into the same stitch, that's 2, and then again 3. Chain 1 and put another 3 into that same stitch. 1, 2 and 3. Now you're going to do that little pico stitch again. You're going to do this little bobble. So chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. Now go down to the bottom of the chain and you'll see those little V stitch. Slip through there, yarn over and pull through and slip stitch through that one, and it makes your little bobble. So again you're going to skip 3 stitches. Now my little stitch there's been squished, so remember and count your stitches, 1, 2 and 3, and into the 4th stitch do your fan. 3 treble crochet, 1 chain and 3 treble crochet. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1 and do another 3 into that same stitch. 1, 2 and 3. Now you're going to do your pico stitch again. Remember and do those little bobble pico stitches. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Come down to the bottom of the chain and go through those 2 stitches. Yarn over and pull through and slip stitch through that one. And that makes your little bobble again. skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and into your 4th stitch do your fan, and this is what you get. You'll get your half fan at the beginning, your picot stitch, your fan, your picot stitch, and your fan, and then your little picot stitch. Just remember and do those little stitches once you've done the fan. So we'll do another fan. 1, you're going to do that all the way along. 2, 3, chain 1, and another 3 treble crochets into that same stitch. And if you're in the USA, that's a double crochet for you. 2 and 3. Now chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip in through that's your chain of 3 there, and you're going down to the joint, slip through those stitches, yarn over, pull through, and then slip stitch through that one, and it gives you that little bobble. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and then do a fan all the way along your chain. Got 4 stitches left. If you've got an extra stitch or 2, just pick it out. What you might have done is, when you do your fan, the stitch gets kind of squished in there. So don't worry too much if you've got a few extra stitches, just pick them out. But if you've got 4, just continue your pattern until you've got 4 left. If you've got 1 odd, then pick it out. But it could be just because where you've put your fan in, it's just might have squished that stitch in and you didn't count it. So into my 4th stitch, that's my last stitch, I'm going to put 4 treble crochets into this last stitch. 1, 2, 3, all into the same stitch, and 4. And there we go. And this is what your roll looks like. It's like little crowns, isn't it? I nearly called it a crown blanket, but it's a fan and picot stitch. That's what it is in my 200 stitch book. It's a fan and picot stitch. So we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn your work around. Now it's going to be even easier now, even easier. Into that very first stitch, you're going to put 3 treble crochets. That chain of 3 counts as your first treble crochet. Put 3 more into this stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And my chain of 3 counts that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 all together. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. You'll always do a chain 3 after you've done a fan or a half a fan. Into that little V stitch down the bottom, just slip stitch through, then pull your yarn through and slip stitch to make that little bobble, that little picot stitch. Now you're going to skip over this set of 3, over that little picot stitch and over this one. You're going into the middle of your fan. Once you've done a fan in there, you'll go straight over to the next fan. You'll skip that part in the middle. Now it's much, much easier, and this is the row that you'll keep repeating. This is your repeat row. So move right over, once you've done that little bumpy picot stitch, there it's there. Jump into the middle of your fan, into that chain 1 space. Do your 3 treble crochet, 1 chain and 3 treble crochet. into the middle of that fan. That's 1, 2 and 3. Now chain 1 and put 3 more into the middle of your fan. 1, 2 and 3. Now do your picot stitch, chain 1, 2, 3 and slip through the bottom of that chain, pull your yarn through and slip stitch, and that makes your little bobble. Move right over to your next fan, skip these 3, skip that bobble stitch and skip these 3 and go into the top of your next fan. From now on, every row you'll just be working into the center of your fan. Now right over there and do your next fan. That's 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1 and 3 more treble crochets. 1, 2 and 3. Now do your picot stitch. 1, 2, 3 chain through the bottom of that chain, pull your yarn through and slip stitch and make that little bobble. Move to your next fan, then you'll do your fan, your picot stitch, move to the next one, in between your fan, do a fan, picot stitch, remember and do your picot stitch, move to the next one right along to the end, and when we get to here you're going to do 4 treble crochets into the last stitch. So when I get to here I'll come back and show you what to do, and this is what your little pattern is looking like just now. And I'm at this little half fan. Now the chain of 3 that you did, you find the top of the chain of 3 and you're going to do 4 treble crochets. So that was your 4 treble crochets on the beginning of the row. So into the top of the chain of 3 you're going to put 4 treble crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work and into your very first stitch, and that chain of 4, that counts as your first treble crochet. Put 3 more into that stitch, 3 treble crochets into that stitch, 1, 2 and 3. Now you're going to chain 3 to do your picot stitch, 1, 2, 3 and into the bottom, yarn over, pull through and then slip stitch. And that's how you'll start, and you'll finish with your 4 treble crochets into that top stitch here of that chain. You'll chain 3 and turn and put 3 more into that corner. So on the end you will have 4 treble crochets all the way up, and the same on this side, you'll have sets of 4 here. What you're going to do now, we've done a little picot stitch, we're going to go straight over and into the top of the fan stitch. Now this is a quick blanket because all you're going to do now is work in to the top of your fan. You're going to put another fan into the top of that one. You'll do your chain of 3, make your picot stitch and go into the next fan, and that's what makes this really quick, because it's a 1 row repeat and you're only working into the top of the fan. So we've done that little half one on the end, and we'll move right over to here. We've done our little bobble, it's hiding around in there. So we're going to do our 3 treble crochet, 1, 2 and 3, chain 1, and then the other half do 3 treble crochet, 1, 2 and 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, then go down to the bottom of your chain and go through those 2 stitches. Now you'll clearly see the 2 stitches are right at the bottom of the chain. Pull your yarn through, then slip stitch through that stitch, and it makes that little bundle of stitches. Straight over to the next fan, and then you'll do 3 treble crochet, 1 chain and 3 treble crochet. 2, another blanket, and it's just that 1 row repeated. You repeat that row until it's as big as you want. So your chain count is sets of 4, and then add an extra 3 stitches to your chain, and those 3 stitches become your first treble crochet. Now if you can see up the edge of my blanket, I've got a half fan all the way up on that side, and the same, oh, I've got my stitch marker there, and the same on this side. You finish on the 4 treble crochet. I'm going to turn my blanket around. I'll put my yarn up there. I've got another ball so I can attach it, and what I'm going to do this is my little chain of 4. Oops, we'll move over. This is my set of 4 chains here. I'm just going to go into that first stitch, push your hook through that corner, and then pull your yarn through. I'll wrap my tail around a couple of times just to secure it in, and then I'm going to do a chain of 3. That's 1, 2 and 3. Now into the same stitch where I started, I'll put 3 more treble crochets. That's 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to do my little picot stitch, so chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go through those 2 stitches, pull my yarn through and slip stitch to make my little picot stitch, or the little bobble, whatever you want to call it. Now into this middle part here, into this big stitch, that is where my fan runs up. I'm going to put a fan stitch in there. 3 treble crochets, so that's 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1 and then another 3 treble crochets. I'm going to do the picot stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip through those 2 stitches and finish that little picot stitch. I'm going to move right over to that large stitch where the fan is. I'm keeping it in line with the fans. So I'm doing my new fan where that one is. And I'm going to do that all along the bottom. So 3 treble crochets, 1, 2 and 3, chain 1, 3 more treble crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Do my picot stitch, it's chain 3, 1, 2, 3 and do a little picot stitch. Then move right over to the next fan section, and I'm going to do that all the way along the bottom, and that's how I'm going to finish the bottom of my blanket, so it will look the same as my top. Now I can rejoin my yarn and continue on with my blanket, but I thought you would like to see this because it's really pretty. It's a really pretty lacy stitch, so it is worthwhile getting yourself some stitch books. That one belongs there. It is worthwhile getting yourself some of those stitch books that's got 200 or 500 stitches in them. I've got 2 crochet books. One's got 500 stitches and one's got 200 extra stitches in it. So there's plenty scope and plenty patterns, little patterns like this in them for you to do. So what I'll do is, the stitch books that I use, I'll put the names of them in the description. I'm just going to put the names of the book and the person that wrote them. And if you Google it, you can find these in all different places at all different prices. I got mine in the UK. I got mine, one I got from Amazon, and the other one I got it from a shop called the Works. It was in a shop called The Works. So if you're in the UK and if you go onto The Works, onto their website, they've got lots of knockdown prices on their books. It's amazing. They've got lots of great prices for their crochet books as well. And it's great to just look through them and find different patterns. It's a great way of explaining how to do a lot of crochet stitches as well. Now, there were 76% of the people that watch my tutorials that are not subscribed. So please help me get up to 1 million subscribers. If you're watching my tutorials and you're not subscribed, it is completely free to subscribe to my channel. And not only can you subscribe to mine, you can subscribe to other channels like Bag O' Day and the Crochet Crowd and lots of other channels, and you can leave comments, and it's completely free to subscribe to any YouTube channel. So if you click on the subscribe button, it'll take you through how to do that, and if you click on the bell icon, then YouTube will tell you when I put up another tutorial. So support your favourite crochet channels and subscribe to the channels. We really do appreciate it. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.